Do you have pain or difficulty standing up from a low chair, a low couch, or a low toilet? If so, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Candy, and in this video, I'm going to give you some tips to make it easier and less painful to stand up from low chairs, low couches, and low toilets. Now, the taller you are, the harder this task is going to be because it's more likely that your hips are going to sink below the level of your knees. But let's first start out with a higher surface where your hips are at about the level of your knees, and then we'll progress down lower from there. So we're going to start out on a couch, and at this height, my hips and knees are approximately the same level. Now, if you have a low couch, you may find it hard to get out of because the effective height of the couch is not actually this level, it's the level that you sink down to. So a softer couch will be harder to get out of. Now, the easiest way to get out of a chair or off of a couch, if your hips are at the same height as your knees or slightly higher, is to do a nose over toes or hip hinging type of motion. When you do this, you bring your center of gravity forwards, and because your head is connected to your hips by your spine, your hips have no choice but to come up and forwards. Now, using physics, you're acting with your knees as a fulcrum, and as your head goes forwards and down, your hips come up. And so this is almost zero muscle effort. I'm not really doing anything with my legs at all. It's just physics pivoting head down, bottom up, like a teeter-totter. Now, once you get your weight loaded over your feet, then you can just stand up like that by pushing your hips forwards. If you have slightly weaker legs because of deconditioning or because of an injury, you can also keep going down like that, which pops your hips all the way up. Now you need almost zero thigh effort, and then you just stand up from there. So again, the choices are lean forwards and push up using your legs if you have the strength to do so, or lean all the way down, pop the hips up, and then stand up using the hips and some muscles from your lower back. Now, a lot of times people are fearful of doing this because they feel like when they lean out forward like this, that they're just going to keep going and face plant. But the reality of it is I had to jump to do that. You really can't do that because your center of mass is back here. And so if you're going to fall anywhere, you're just going to plop right back down on the couch or on the chair. So that's the solution for standing up if your hips are at or slightly above knee level. Now, what if we move down to a lower surface? Let's say you want to do a craft with your grandchildren, or you want to have a tea party, or you want to go work out in the garden and sit on a garden stool, but you need to be able to stand back up. Well, a lower surface makes the task increasingly complex because your hips are now lower than your knees. And what happens when your hips drop down below the level of your knees? When your hips are below the level of your knees, your axis of rotation around the knees is no longer in an up and forwards direction. It's actually in an up and slightly backwards direction until you get to 90 degrees, and then it's up and forwards again. So right at 90 degrees, it's directly up. Above 90 degrees, it's up and forwards. And below 90 degrees, the axis is up and backwards. So you have to change the axis of rotation in order to make it easier to get up. And to do that, you can put your hands on the chair underneath your bottom, and now you're actually pivoting with an axis of rotation on your hands rather than around your knees. That also shortens the lever arm, so it makes it substantially easier to get up. But to do this, you'll pivot around your hands like that. Now you've got your hips popped up to above knee level again, and now you can make it just like the previous task where you're going up and forwards like that and standing back up. So again, to see that in real time, you push your hands down onto the chair, pivot around the hands, pop the hips up, and then come back up to standing. And again, that's not really a lot of muscle effort. It's just using physics. Now, you can use this same principle to get up from a low toilet. And you can check that out in this video right over here. Do you have trouble getting up from a low toilet seat? Use this simple trick to make it easy for you to get up from a low toilet seat. Step number 1, scoot all the way back. Step number 2, spread your legs out wide. Step number 3, put your hands on the front of the bowl. Step number 4, lean your head down and use your hands like a pivot point. That just pops you right up, and then you stand up. So to see that fast, you scoot back on the seat, spread your legs wide, hands on front, lean forward, and you're up. Hopefully that tip makes it easier for you to get up from a low toilet seat. But what if you want to be able to stand up from a low surface without using your hands? In real life, there's no rule to say that you can't do that. And in fact, if I was going to stand up from this chair, I would probably use my hands. But I have the option to stand up without them if I want. And if you want to have that option as well, having more strength and a higher buffer gives you a greater range of movement choices. And so if you'd like to have those choices, strengthening your thigh and glute muscles can help you be able to get up from a low surface easier. Now, to do this, your hips are still below the level of your knees, so it actually helps to change the axis of rotation, not to your hands, but down to your ankles. And so to do that, you lean forwards, and I find it helps to spread your knees out a little bit so you can get a little greater range of hip bending between your legs here. But at some point, you're going to have to change the axis of rotation, not from your knees, but actually going around your ankles. So now you're doing an isometric hold with your quad muscles. The knee angle isn't really changing, and you're pivoting around the ankles like that. If you're not using hands, the same principle applies there. It's more of a hinge around the ankle joint, again, until your hips get up to knee level or above, and then you can use the previous principles to stand back up. So again, hinge around your ankles to get your hips up, and then come back up to a standing position. Now that last tip doesn't happen overnight. You actually need some strength in your thighs and your glutes to make that work. And to do that, there's a very effective exercise to help you get more strength and power in this low squat position. And that's an exercise known as the horse stance. It's an isometric exercise that helps strengthen your quads and your glutes. And you can do that at any age and learn the steps to do it in this video over here. But before you go, if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you can get notified of our future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.